right, what's up, everyone, and welcome to Never Offside with Julie and Kat. Julie was on vacation last week.
I'm back.
I missed her.
I missed you, and I was giggling my way through the episode, listening live, just like everybody else, because it was hilarious because it took me 3 days to get through the episode because I was with my kids on spring break. But I was giggling as much as they were, and I'm just laughing because I only know Tyler out of the group, and which, by the way, Tyler is great. You anchored everybody. I was like, Kat is doing her job, and Tyler is fabulous as always, and obviously made Will Mack feel so comfortable and just in their natural habitat.
Very comfortable, it seems.
But I just was giggling because Tyler's laugh is enough to just get me going, and then you added those two on top of it. I was like, oh, I need to meet these boys.
Well, they're fabulous. They're so funny. They are so true to themselves, which is, just so endearing. But it is funny. Like you said, Ty's laugh is really loud and it makes everyone else laugh. So when he laughed and then Will Mack chimed in with their little harmonious laugh together, it was
exactly. It was perfectly pitched. Sometimes Tyler blew out the mic.
He blew out the
because he was so loud. But it's so them. And anyways, I left the episode super jealous. I didn't get to talk to them myself, but I'm just gonna manifest season 2 episode.
I think they'll be back. They'll be back
when the grandmother can talk to them.
Seriously,
the grandmama.
I mean, if they were being that mean to Ty, I can only imagine the two of us.
I know. They were they say Ty's old. I'm like,
I know.
God. I also want to ask them questions about their rookie season. But I guess rookies these days, it's different. When Jeff was a rookie, for instance, for his for the rookie party, he did not have enough money on his credit card balance to cover the rookie party, so he had to the captain had to pay for it, and Jeff had to write him a check when they got back home. So I'm does that happen to rookies these days, or they're is that different? Do they run into those things?
Yeah, we'll ask them when they come back. But
anyways,
the funniest thing of the fallout from the Will Mack episode was I was glued to my phone looking at Twitter, and I'm not a TikTok person, but this actually made me look at TikTok because the amount of edits, especially the ones to Pony, Will really set himself up there.
Yeah, I was waiting for him to start singing.
Oh gosh, you could tell he knew the lyrics. He was
not gonna do that to himself.
No, but if you go on TikTok, you're just gonna see all these really funny edits of them giggling, and then of just them edited to Pony, which is hilarious.
It's so cute. They're so funny. They're so lucky to have each other. Honestly, a built-in bestie from year one.
Oh yeah,
that's fun.
It really is nice to see that they are genuinely best friends.
Well, I'm just dying at the we go to coffee shops and people watch. I'm I would do that. That's so funny. You sound like 35-year-old women who just want to go to
ladies who lunch.
Ladies who lunch.
You know what's funny about that specific thing that they were talking about? So something that you and I have learned from doing a podcast together for the first time is sometimes we deal with audio issues, or something happens with the guest and all of a sudden we can't hear what they're saying and we have to just react and having not known what they're saying. So literally, I don't even know what part of the interview Ty's audio cut out.
And towards the end, it seemed like.
I don't know when it happened, but he didn't cut out, but something happened where all of a sudden he was on such a delay that the guys would say something and then Ty would laugh a minute later. And so it was really weird. And so I was looking at Will and Mac, and I was we're kind of laughing at Tyler. And then it became kind of us all making fun of Tyler. But anyway, you can tell this is some behind the scenes podcast. You can tell during that interview that Ty stops responding, and it's because he couldn't. So he's just kind of trying, and they're making fun of him, and he can't say anything back. He's just kind of looking around because he can't. So it was pretty funny, but that's, as Bob says, that's showbiz.
That's showbiz, baby. It took us about 10 episodes to figure that out and start winging it. And he did
I'm glad
great.
that you're back.
Yeah, he did great. Jeff and I had a great trip with our kids. I wouldn't call it a vacation. I'm waiting for Norwegian Cruise Lines to call me and say, we're sending you and Jeff on a cruise because I need some alone time. And on today's episode, we're going to talk with Mel Landeskog all about Gabe's incredible return to the NHL after 3 years of coming back from an insane injury, and just everything from her mental headspace, one of the lowest of low places that they've ever been, to what it was like being a captain's wife during that time, to the incredible return with their kids on the glass, and just the magical moment that it has been and continues to be. That's up next. Welcome back to Never Offside with Mel Landeskog. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been such a wild week.
I know, it's been crazy. Thanks so much for having me. I'm so flattered.
And it's nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too. I got to meet Julie at the Morgan Wallen concert. That was so fun.
I know. 2 years ago, we went to like the concert of the summer together, and that was our first. We have mutual friends, the Helm family. They're our neighbors. So the Landeskogs came into town, and it was so fun getting to meet y'all there. And I just love, that's what's so fun about this whole thing, like us doing the podcast and this hockey life, is like those small connections. Like, we've met you one time, but like now I feel like we're just friends forever. And
I know. We have so many friends like Sid Comfer now and Hannah Gustafson. And I know, it's so nice. But can I just say thank you so much for that experience, because he is like one of my favorite country artists. And I think we were like had seats in the nosebleeds. And then all of a sudden they like strapped like Pitt like bracelet on me thanks to you. And I was like, I looked at Gabe and I was like, are we going into, is it called the Pit?
Yeah, well, I know it was news to us too. Like, we don't.
Oh my gosh.
That was an
I like looked at him and I was like, are we gonna get to be right by the stage? He's like, I think so. He's like, just play it cool so they don't like take our number, like just he's like, just play it cool and walk in. And so we did, and it was like the best experience ever. So thank you.
Well, that answers one of our questions, was favorite concert. So I'm gonna cross that one off.
Yeah, no, that concert
that was by far my favorite concert.
I think too, it was like his first big tour, Morgan Wallen, and so we were just like building it up. And we live on this street. We have a couple hockey families on this street, and we always plan one mega concert of the summer to go to in Michigan. And you guys were in Toronto, so it was just like a quick jaunt down. Devin and Darren were like, get down here. And that night ended up just like turning into magic, because we all had seats all over the place, but then we all got into the Pit and had the best night. But actually, I did want to talk about this. It was like Gabe had just had one of his surgeries.
Yes.
And by like,
was it his big surgery? When would that have?
So it was summer 2023. So you have to do that, because I was trying to go back with Dev, figuring out which one it was.
Oh, I think he would have just had that. He would have had his big surgery. He was a couple months out, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah. Well, 2022 he won the cup, and then he waited a whole season trying to rehab his knee better. Mm-hmm. And then I think it was by the end of the season before playoffs, that would have been 2023.
Yep.
That he was like, no, I need to get the surgery. So yeah, he would have just had that big surgery. I remember him being in a really bad place, and I was like, I hope people don't think this is what Gabe is like, because he wasn't drinking and he was just really mellow and quiet. And I'm like, usually he's such a good time. But
we all thought he was lovely and you were lovely. And so there was no thoughts there. I felt bad though, because by the middle of the night, we're standing only, and all of us are jumping around dancing. And all of a sudden, like, he finds himself like a little like wedge to sit on, and his knees propped out. And I go into like full on like nurse mode.
Mom mode. Nurse
mode. Mom nurse mode. And I'm like, we got to get this guy's leg propped up. Like,
yeah, so I think you guys were all so cool and like so like caring for him. And I mean, then remember he got kicked off that little ledge, and I felt like being like, oh, come on, just let him sit. He just had surgery, like, but yeah, he trooped that one out for me, I will say, because he knows how much I love Morgan Wallen. So I think he wanted to go because he loves like Darren too, Darren Helm and stuff. But I think he like really was for me.
He was a gamer. We got back on the bus, and we were making him ice packs on the bus and getting him all situated.
I remember that. That was amazing. That was so fun.
But it was a fun time. But you guys have had quite the week and couple of
Yeah.
weeks here.
Yeah. I apologize for being a horrible texter. Every time I text you back, I'm like, I'm so sorry. And it's funny because my unread messages are at 192. Which is funny that it's 92 because I've been seeing 92 everywhere. It's like
Times.
following me around before his like comeback game. And I'm like, I feel like this is a sign, but I obviously love everyone reaching out and it's like, but I want to take the time to respond to everyone. So like,
Yeah.
when you have kids, you don't have time to just take an hour to like write everyone a paragraph and respond. So you feel so
Right.
bad, but thanks for having patience with me. But yeah, we had like 65 people in town. Um, yeah, it was like I can't even explain how amazing it was because you dream of that moment, but you're kind of like, is it ever going to happen? And then when it happens, you're trying to make it amazing for him and you're trying to get everyone in that he knows and loves, but you know, it was just unbelievable.
Where
But
did the
I'm kind of glad
65?
everyone left.
Well, I was gonna say, where did the 65 come from? Like all different places?
Yeah, so it's actually like all of our friends so I'm from Ontario, like outside of Toronto. So all of our friends there, a lot of friends from Sweden, all of his friends and family there. He wanted to invite all of his like rehab team. So doctors, treatment guys. It was just incredible. And there was a lot of people that I hadn't met that were a part of his treatment team. So it was nice to like get to meet them and just tell them how like thankful I am. And yeah, that part was just incredible.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for a
Like
lot, it was a lot of people.
so like when did you guys have kind of like the eye on the prize? Like, okay, we're getting close. Like it's one of those things you don't want to talk about it. You don't want to jinx anything. You don't want to, it's like those big
Exactly.
game marks. Like when were you guys like, I don't know, before this, like, okay, this is the date we're circling. Like,
Yeah, it's weird. There never really was a date. Like it's kind of like lined up so perfectly because all season he was trying to get back,
mm,
but he just like it was setback after setback, and like he would skate and then he'd be in pain, and I'm like, and it's just like so many times it almost got to the point where I was having trouble almost getting excited when he would come home being like, "Oh, I had a great skate." And I'd be like, "Great." But it was like 3 years of hearing that and then he would have a setback. So you're trying so hard to stay positive and feel like it's coming, but I was very cautiously happy and very cautiously optimistic. Um, so there was never like a set moment. It was just whenever his knee was going to feel ready, we're like, that's going to be the time. So it was like almost like for a couple of months there towards the end, he was like, man, like I'm actually feeling good after I skate, where I'm not in pain after I skate and I don't have to take like a week off or like 2 weeks off. So it was all about stacking those days and those practices. So it wasn't until the very end of regular season where he's like, I could skate like back to back now and I'm fine. And then all of a sudden he was like, I feel like now I've gone to the point where I deserve to actually play in a game. So they were nice enough to let him play for the Eagles to be like a soft landing for him. And then when he felt great after that first game, he was like, I could play the next night. And I'm like, are you sure? Like you went
yeah.
from like having a little minor skate and it being sore the next day to like you actually being okay. And I was like in shock. So, um, it just lined up so perfectly that he was ready for playoffs. And I was so nervous because, playoff hockey is like a different game.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's really where you're gonna jump in? Like,
Yeah.
really?
Fun timing.
But yeah, but he was like so excited and yeah, it was just like really positive. So
And
I
then when
mean,
that goal happened, just can you give us the emotions?
guys, I cannot like I always knew that you dream about it for so long and you like don't know if it's ever gonna happen and then too, like I thought, okay, like he'd be playing, but he'd probably be like pretty slow out there. Probably wouldn't notice him, get a few minutes. But I'm like, you actually had a good game though, and you scored. So it wasn't like he was just in the right place, the right time and scored, but like the rest of his game was off. Or like I thought he played like great considering he's been out of the game for so long. So that moment I feel like I couldn't stop bawling. Like
oh,
I was
Can't
just bawling
imagine.
my eyes out. All the girls were in the stands with me, just like, no, because they knew that moment. And everyone was like giving me hugs, and it was just like I will never forget that moment for the rest of my life.
Oh my
I'm
God.
emotional. Like hereafter, I like watching. We were watching, the
Oh, thanks
intro.
for
Your kids
watching.
on the ice. Like
Thanks.
also, like your kids are at a different age than they were when their dad was playing last time.
Yeah.
Like that has to mean even more now that they get memories of it.
Yeah, they were so young. Like I really don't think they don't really know that their dad plays hockey. Like he'll talk about it, but like my son Luke, he's really into it, but I think it's been such a long time. Like he was one when they won the cup. And
Hmm.
he was a part of all of it, but yeah, like this is like I think they were stunned. They were like, "Daddy's out there?" Especially on the glass. They were like, "That's Daddy," Like
Oh,
I'm like,
I
"Yeah, it
mean,
was
heart.
so amazing."
that picture
Oh,
with that sign was so sweet.
I
Whose idea was the
know.
sign?
Honestly, I thought of it because I tried to do a bunch of things just to make it amazing for Gabe. So I got t-shirts made last minute. And then the sign, just something for the kids. I just wanted him to see something just to feel like, holy crap, this moment's actually happening. So he actually said that was like the one moment that he actually wanted to like break down and cry was when he saw the kids on the glass. Because for
I'm gonna
three
cry.
years, he would be on the glass with us. And
Yeah.
we would see like some of his buddies on the team and they would like throw the kids a puck. But like for him to be on the other side of it now, yeah, he said it was like crazy.
It was, and then
Yeah.
his first shift was like electric, like, and
Yeah.
he like bumped
I
into
think
the
he hit
old
Miko
teammate.
a little
Yeah,
bit.
it
And Miko's
just,
a good friend of his. And I was
yeah.
like, and he's like, no, no, we're buddies. Like, I could do that. And I'm like, I know, but come on. Like,
I bet
Listening
you
take
to,
it.
he loved
yeah,
it too. Like he's back. My guy's back.
Yeah.
You know.
I think they all felt that way. They've all seen Gabe like come to the rink like just a shell of himself for years.
Mm.
And it is so nice the support that he's getting from other teams around the league. Like, they don't even care if it's the Avs or their team. They're just like so happy to hear that kind of story. And I think if it could give anyone like inspiration, that's all Gabe wants.
I mean,
So
listening to the mic'd up, him mic'd up on the ice and the Dallas guys all saying "Welcome back," like that got me emotional
I know,
too.
me too, actually, because I feel like him and especially like Jamie Benn kind of go at it a lot during games. And I think it was Jamie Benn that like said something to him, and I just thought that was really nice. I'm like, wow, like I think everyone just really is like hoping you do well, and they're just so happy for you. So
The support, like clearly right now, is like a magnified, situation of the support that not only you've been giving your husband, but everybody around you. Let's take it back because as Kat and I were talking about this episode, we're like, we actually don't really know your story and how you and Gabe met and kind of like where the support system started, kind of with your nucleus of you two and then building your family. So where did you guys meet?
yeah, so I went to school at the University of Guelph. I don't know how familiar everyone is with Ontario, but and he was playing for the Kitchener Rangers. So we had a lot of mutual friends. And then we actually started talking just through like Facebook at one point. But we were both like he was in a relationship, so we were just like friends for a bit. And then it was like 2 years after that, um, we we somehow like reconnected and started like talking again. Um, and then yeah, and then we started dating and we did long distance for 2 years, which was really hard. I wanted to finish my degree at school. And then he was like, "Can you move down here?" And I'm like, "Okay." I'm like, that was so big for me because we were so young, right? So I don't know how many flights I canceled. Um, so actually his first year in the NHL, he probably booked me probably 6 flights that I canceled because I just like we were doing long distance, so it was just felt like to make them like to start visiting him in Denver felt so like big for me, and I was kind of in my own little bubble and like living with my best friends at our university. So at one point during his first year, we're like, should we just like call this off here and just be friends? And I'm like, yeah, for sure. Because so halfway through his first year in the NHL, we actually called things off, and then we were just friends. And then it was after that summer, he was like you're the first person I want to talk to in the morning and the last person at night, as cheesy as that sounds. And he's like, I think we should just try to make this work. So we did, and we've been together ever since. Um,
Oh
yeah,
That's sweet.
gosh.
yeah.
And
So it's been a while.
so then when you made it official, he was the captain by then, obviously.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
you had to jump right into
it
that
was
role.
crazy. Yeah, and it was like a little bit hard for me because there were so many veterans on the team and the league was a lot different back then. It was like almost like a hurricane. You have to like work your way up, and it's like if you're not like if you're new, like you don't have a say in things, you know? It was a lot it was a lot different. I
Oh
don't know
yeah.
if you guys remember,
Yep.
but
Oh yeah.
Oh
um
yeah.
yeah, like now it's just so chill and relaxed, which I like love. But it was hard. And I remember people coming up to me, like some of the other wives being like, well, you're the captain's wife now, so you have to do the fun and you have to do this. And I'm like, what? Like it
What does
was just
this
a lot for
mean?
me. Yeah, and to like the fun was like really hard and confusing for me, but thankfully I had a lot of like veteran ladies on the team that like really helped me out for a while there, but I've been doing it for so long now. But then it got a little awkward now the past like 3 years, you know, you want to like help and be involved, but I used to plan all the team parties, Halloween, Christmas, all the girls stuff, like baby showers, and I kind of was taking like a bit of a like
A leave of
backseat just because
absence.
yeah, I just felt a little bit like awkward planning stuff because I'm not around and Gabe like he felt the same way. So a lot of girls like stepped in for me to help me out there, but I'm excited to be like back in it and a little bit more involved again.
I was gonna say, what do you say when you transitioned back? Were you like, "What's up, girls?"
Well, you know what? The girls were so cute and so respectful that like it was never like I was like gone. Like I would
Mhm.
literally be like in Toronto with Gabe and he's doing rehab and I'm still like planning stuff from afar.
Yeah.
So they're so sweet and that nobody wanted to like step on my toes. So it never felt like I officially left and then had to like come back,
Mhm.
thankfully. But yeah, so it never really felt like I was fully gone. So the transition back like wasn't too awkward or anything.
We figured you were still involved, but just
Yeah,
not
you know, it's
there.
where I still was running the fund. I'd be like in Toronto being like, can you guys send me a Venmo?
Yeah.
And, because like they don't know how it's done. And,
Right.
Yeah.
like you start to learn over the years that you don't want to take a lot of opinions on certain things. You just have to tell them, these are the
Yeah.
jackets we're doing or this, because like too many opinions causes like, you guys know, like
Too many chefs
someone
in the
has to be in
kitchen.
charge and nobody you think really wants to be in that role. Like it's kind of a weird role to be in. So,
Yeah. You're right. I mean, too many
yeah.
opinions. Sometimes too many opinions can make it. I don't know. You could offend someone for not choosing their opinion. I
Exactly.
don't know. It's
Yes.
weird.
Yeah. Yeah. So I remember one year with the playoff jackets, I was like, you know what? This year I'm gonna ask everyone like what they want to do. We had probably like 10 different jackets come in on the chat, and I'm like, this is why I don't do this. Like,
Right.
because then people are like not liking some of the girls' jackets and then you feel
Yeah.
bad for them because they're like, oh, someone like her suggestion, please. Like, so I'm like, I'm never doing that again. So,
Oh, well,
Funny.
that's good to hear that it was, but like also interesting that you kind of felt the same way when like you guys stepped away and you guys were in Toronto for a lot of Gabe's rehab. You know, I don't think people think of that side of it, of like you feeling awkward too. Like I still want to be involved, but I'm not there. So it's interesting to hear like from your side of it. And were there any girls that you like, first off, like when you were a rookie or just in the league, like what veteran players kind of took you under their wing and kind of helped you like usher you into the league?
oh man, there were so many. I mean, Jackie Johnson, definitely. Ash Duchesne, Jesse McLeod. I could go on and on. There was just, I met so many amazing ladies throughout the years. And I mean, you're so blessed to be on the same team for so long. Like, I realize how much of a blessing that is. But it was so sad. You make so many good friends for years, and I'm always the one who's left, you know? Like, at one point, I was like,
Yeah.
don't repeat this to Gabe, even though he's going to hear it. But I'm like, can we get traded for once? Like, I want to, like, go to a different team and experience something else because I'm always like, you make best friends and then they leave you, right? So, but I've been so lucky to just like meet so many amazing women. But yeah, there was honestly too many to name back in the day when they really helped me out. So
It is funny. The one team thing is something that you can take for granted for sure. Like when Ty was in
yes,
LA, I thought we were always going to be there, and now 80 places later, it's like.
yes, I
But
know.
it's the blessing of like everybody I bet that comes in touch with you and Gabe are like so lucky and just fortunate to
Aw.
cross y'all's paths. Even our little interaction, I'm like, I just know from all of our mutual friends, it's like everybody that touches you guys, like to know you guys is to love you
Thanks.
guys. And
That's so sweet. Thank you so much.
it's you guys are doing a great job there. And just this is like the comeback story that nobody can not root for you guys. Like I don't care who you're cheering for. It's like I'm not rooting against Team Landeskog. Like that's
Thank
just
you.
how
You
it
guys have no
goes.
idea how much that means to us because he really did. He worked so hard and it put like our relationship to the test, and it was the hardest 3 years of our lives by far. There was other things going on too. We lost both of our dogs within those 3 years, and it was just like at some point I was just kind of saying to my mom, I'm like, like something's got to give here. Like somebody give him a good bounce. Like it was just like the second he was starting to feel positive, it would be like shooting pain out of nowhere when he skates, and you're set back 3 weeks, and then his quad turns off, and then it hurts even more. And it was just like, just to see someone that you love go through so much sadness and work so hard, and he was just so lost, and there was like nothing I could say. It was like sometimes when he'd come home, I'm like, please let him be in like a good space, or please let him have a good skate. And I just like, and then he would walk in and he would just like go straight to his office, and it was just so hard to see. And he's such an amazing dad, but during those years he was finding it really hard to be positive for them. And I remember there was this one breakdown moment where I kind of just like almost lost it on him. And I'm like, you have to be just grateful for what you do have. And like your kids don't even know you at this point in terms of like who you truly are, because you're sad, Gabe. You're just like Gabe whose mind is somewhere else. And I remember I actually made him cry a little bit, which I feel horrible about, but I think it was kind of like a moment where he realized like, okay, I do have to be grateful for what I have. And I think it really hit home when he heard like his kids don't even know like the true him right now, and they're at such a fun age. And so I think after that year, which was the last year, he was a lot better. He was a lot lighter. Like even though he was going through hard times, he was getting better at like leaving it at the rink. Um, so he's really deserving of this. He just like did not give up. There were so many times where he was like, I can't keep doing this. Like it's never gonna get better. I'm just lost, but he kept fighting and he kept going to the rink. He kept showing up, and yeah, I'm just really proud of him.
So the last few weeks, what has been the difference in his personality that you've noticed?
The guys, like they get so dialed in. I was expecting him to come home and just be like this jolly, happy guy. And you can tell like deep down he's happy, but he's focused now. I'm like, okay, we're back to like playoff game.
The
Okay.
captain's back.
Yeah, like and you don't want to, he kept saying, he's like, I want to earn my spot on the team. Like, I don't want it just given to me, like, throw me on for 4 minutes. Like, he wanted to really earn it. So I think he got into like just playoff mode. Like, I just need to play good. So I wouldn't say he was like, oh yeah, celebrating. I'm sure after the season, he'll like be able to let loose and have beers for once. And it's been like 3 years where he's like just every summer he's just so focused. Like he wants to play home opener. So like every summer he's just like dialed. And I'm like, hey, can we go have some fun? That's why Morgan Wall was like the one time that we got to like actually
Yeah.
have some fun. I'm like, so
Well, we were wondering the first few games back what like his routine was. Did he go right back into his normal pregame routine from years prior, or like was
he
something
actually
different?
did. So him and Nate McKinnon have a chef who like took all their blood work and completely analyzed their bodies and what they need. So it was his name's Curtis, the chef, and Gabe was like, oh, like I need my pregame meal back and like do the same thing. And like Curtis was like so happy, and everything was the same. It was kind of weird. He took a little nap and had his pregame meal, and
How
yeah.
is that for you guys? Like you getting back into game day routine. It's like, oh, quiet down the house. Like,
I know it was so weird, especially because like I told you guys, we just moved in, so the house is like crazy and there's always workers here and stuff. And it didn't help that his first game back was with like 60 people in town and like all of his best friends. So we told everyone like no one can stay here. Our old
yeah.
house, actually, we still have it. So I started putting like mattresses on the floor in the room so they could all sleep in there. So there was like a few people squatting in our old house with like no TVs, nothing, but they were just so grateful to be here and be here for that moment. So So
That's
yeah, it's definitely weird getting back into it. But you're like cautious, right? You're like, oh, like I feel like he's made of glass now. Every time he has the puck, I'm like,
uh
I'm
Oh,
like, just
I
be
feel that.
okay. Yeah. So
we were also wondering just his last season before coming back, you guys won the cup. So the emotions of winning to going through what you just went through the last few years, like can you walk us through that whole like
yeah.
psyche, I guess?
Yeah, that was crazy because you're getting off like this high of winning the cup, and then it's just like the lowest of lows. And I think what a lot of people don't realize is during the cup run, he was in a lot of pain. Like he was just pushing through. Like if anyone knows hockey, they know that Gabe wasn't practicing with the team at that point. He was just playing games. They were just trying to save his knee. And then all summer long, he was like, wow, like I'm not well. Like I think I messed up my knee for the cup. So, when you hear a lot of like fans like just, like criticizing and being like, oh, like just retire and like just give it up and things like that. I'm like, he literally sacrificed himself for the cup and did like the most damage that he couldn't even come back from. So I remember starting the season after the cup, he was like, this is so bad. And then they were like, well, let's just rehab it. So he rehabbed for a whole year, and it felt like the biggest waste of time looking back because it wasn't until he spoke to a surgeon and they were like, you're trying to rehab a hole in your knee. It's just like an empty hole.
Oh
Your knee
my
was tracking wrong that whole cup run, and you basically carved out all the cartilage under your patella, like your kneecap, and there's no coming back from it. Like you need to get a replacement. So it just felt like a waste of a year, in a way, which sounds horrible, but um I mean, in hindsight, it would have been nice if he just knew that ahead of time, got the surgery, then he would have been only out for 2 seasons instead of three. So that part of it was hard. So
Well, I mean, this might be a weird question, but during your cup party, was it like a weird bittersweet range of emotions you guys were going through, I guess?
you know what? Like Gabe had no idea how much damage was done during the cup run. It wasn't until he like took some time off and then he went to go like skate again and work out again, and he's like, this doesn't feel good. And then you just keep rehabbing all summer, and he saw like tons of people, tons of specialists, and they're like, and it was just like not coming back. So and I think at one point his quad like completely actually like turned off, and he lost like all the muscle in his quad, and his quad protects his knee. So the second you lose all the muscle in your quad, your knee is in a lot of pain. So it wasn't like after the cup we celebrated and then he's like, oh no, this is like he had no idea what he was in for. And
Shit.
even for like a solid year, I don't think he realized what was happening. And then I remember when the surgeon was like told him his decision that he should get like a transplant, and they were like, well, no NHL player has ever come back from this to that level of hockey. That decision making time was so hard for us because
yeah, what was that like? Like did was it like, no, I'm coming back to play, like for sure, or was there ever talks of like maybe this is it? Like what was that?
yeah, when he had to make that decision, it was probably the worst 2 weeks because he was like, this could end my career, but I don't see another option. So when he finally made the decision, though, I think it almost gave him a little bit of relief just so he had like an answer. And it
Mm.
felt like the next step that he needed to do to try to come back. But I don't think he realized how long the recovery was going to be and how hard. Like he was hobbling around for a long time. After the big surgery, we decided as a family that he should just spend some time in Arizona for a whole month because we're like, if he's doing this, he has to do it right. Like
Hmm.
we can't have the kids jumping on him. Like he feels too guilty not helping me with the kids that he knew he would not rest. So we're like, I was like, I got this. I got the kids. You just
Wow.
rehab for a
Oh,
whole month. And
wow.
so we spent a lot of time apart throughout these last couple of years. But yeah,
Well,
it was
what was
hard.
going through your mind in terms of when you heard that no other NHL player had ever come back? Had you like were you always like, well, he will, like, or did you have doubts? What?
Yeah, I mean, I always have this like I always believe in him so much. Like I think he's so strong. He's like the hardest worker I know. And I'm like, if anyone's gonna get back to this, it would be Gabe because he's just like It's crazy. I would like I've had pregnancies and I'll be like eating a burger in front of him and he's like just so dialed. He's sitting there eating a carrot and I'm like, he's just so dialed in. I'm like, if anyone's gonna do it, it's gonna be Gabe. So, but I was nervous there for a bit. You know, you just try to stay like positive for him and you try to just feed him that positive energy because he had none of it. So, um, yeah, but
So would you say he leaned on you a lot for just positivity and like just I feel like there's only so much you can do and your mentality the whole time like who's leaning on I know you're leaning on each other but
mhm.
like would you say you and toot your own horn here because I feel like I know the answer but like where did your background come from of like becoming so mentally tough in this? Was it from Gabe? Did you have prior like just in your life you've always been strong-willed too?
Yeah, you know what? I don't know where it came from. I think it honestly just came from like a place of love. Like I just like love him so much and to see him go through this. And there were times where like I would have breakdown moments because I'm like, this is so hard. Like we're only like at the time 4 years into our marriage and we're already dealing with this like huge, like he's only 31 years old when this all kind of happened. And I'm like, we shouldn't have to deal with this already in our marriage. Like you know, the distance between us, the having to like take over with the kids and like when you're pregnant, you want the attention. You want like
Mhm.
you want to be cared for. You want someone to cook you meals and I had to take the back burner on all of that even now that I'm pregnant. This is all happening and my parents are like, "Oh my God, can you just like sit and relax for a second?" I'm like, "No, but this is everything. This is the moment we've been waiting for. It's a horrible time to be this pregnant, um but I'm like, it's just everything we've been waiting for. So I think it just came natural to me to kind of just like be his backbone a bit and be that support. But don't get me wrong, there were times where I would like have breakdown moments, and like I told you, there's one time I broke down, and I'm like, can you just be happy when you
Mhm.
realize what you do have? Like you have me and the kids, like that has to be enough sometimes, you know?
Right.
Like hockey's everything to these guys, but he had to really learn that it isn't everything, you know? So there is life after hockey, during hockey, you know? So that was a huge like learning lesson for him.
But
So
your guys is like the stamina through this rehab process is unmatched because typically it's like, oh, 3 months. Oh, this. Like this just it
yeah,
kept seeming like the goalpost kept getting pushed back and you're just like, okay, okay.
yes.
Like,
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up. Like you nailed it. It was like I think for him, that's what made it so hard is because he's like, I almost wish it was an ACL like
mhm.
injury because they know a date. It's like, what is it,
Yeah.
like 6 weeks or something?
Yeah.
This was like so unknown. And then constantly people asking you, are you coming back? Like, when's it? And he's like, I don't know. Like, I'm winging this whole thing. And the second he'd get like a little glimmer of hope for 3 whole seasons, like I said before, it was always snatched away from him. So,
Something.
yeah, he would come home and be happy, and I felt bad because sometimes I couldn't match his excitement and his happiness because I'm like, great, but
Yeah,
how long
let's
is this
just
gonna last? You know, and I wanted to mentally prepare myself. There's probably gonna be another setback, and it was getting hard to feel positive towards the end. It was tough.
Well, so for you mentally, what did you do kind of to distract yourself, I guess, sometimes?
Yeah, I mean, anyone with kids just knows that they take up so much of your time. So
that's a
that
great
was
distraction.
it was the best distraction. I think it was the best distraction for him, honestly, because it was just there was like really nothing else. It was just so hard. And especially just moving around, like the kids were so resilient and so awesome, but like Gabe started seeing people outside of Colorado, and so we spent a lot of time in Toronto. Thankfully, we have like a really good setup there. And then he spent a ton of time in Philly with Bill Knowles. Um, and you guys know it's never fun when you guys like the guys go on like long road trips, but it got to the point where he would be like almost in a bad place at home. And I found that when he did go and see certain people, like especially Bill Knowles in Philly, he would come back a different guy, like positive with like some reassurance and feel confident again. So when he would tell me like, I think I'm gonna go to Philly and spend like a few weeks, I'm like, go as
Yeah.
long as you want. And I'm so blessed that I have like such a amazing family that like my mom and dad will come here for months on end when Gabe would go. And
Ugh.
they really took the brunt of it because they would help me out. And my nanny, she's been awesome. I call her my second husband because she's been filling in for Gabe a lot. So
So now you guys have a docu-series, Clean Sheet.
yeah.
When they approached you to do this, what was your first thought? I'm assuming he also had thoughts, but what was your first thought?
Yeah, my first thought was like, I hope I don't have to be in it. Honestly, I was like, that sounds great. Like, I think they'd be so cool for you to do this. I'm like, I just hope I'm not like great on camera and stuff. I just like don't know if but it ended up being such a personal documentary that they're like, you have to be in it. It'd be weird if you're not. I'm like, fine. I'm like, I'll be in it, but just a little bit. So, but I just remember Gabe kept watching, like during the first year of his recovery, he kept watching Andy Murray, I think his name is, his like tennis documentary, and he was battling an injury. And I remember asking Gabe, like, why do you keep watching that documentary? And he's like, because I feel like I'm not alone. Like he's kind of
Wow.
going through what I'm going through, like the identity crisis of like, am I ever going to come back? Like, who am I outside of my sport? So then when Gabe was like hesitant about the documentary, he's like, man, like if I could be that for anyone else, and like whether it's an athlete or anybody, he's like, I want to do it. So there were times where he was like in really bad places where he's like the last thing he wanted around was the camera. Like, but I think he knew like it's never going to be successful unless you get that footage. So, and it's just hard to coordinate those moments because like the producer and the videographer, like they weren't in Toronto with us and stuff. So it was hard to get those moments of him being like, okay, like I'm having a tough time now, like fly in. He's not going to say
Yeah.
that, right? So
Right.
there's a lot that isn't shown, but there is a lot that is shown. But the amount of like people that have reached out to Gabe and said that they've helped him so much, like ex-military, just regular guy who's just at a job, but he can't ski because, and it's his favorite thing to do. And they're reaching out and they're saying that Gabe has given them inspiration. I'm like, oh my gosh, Gabe's like, that's all I wanted. So we're actually really happy that we did it.
Was there
How
anybody that I know you said Andy Murray, like the documentary from him kind of, helped Gabe along, but was there anybody that like through this process like really walked alongside you or gave you, outside of, any advice? And nobody's ever experienced this kind of injury, but like just anybody that gave you any sort of wisdom.
Yeah, you know what? Not really, just in the sense that I don't think anyone really knew what we were going through.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've had a few people reach out and been like, man, I'm so sorry that I didn't reach out more. I didn't like, you don't know until you're in it. And I
Yeah.
actually don't blame anyone because not gonna lie, like during even just regular seasons when Gabe was playing and somebody would be like injured for a few weeks, like I never reached out. You don't know what they're going through
Right.
until you're in it. So I don't even really blame anyone. And I don't, like you said, I don't think anyone's really gone through this, so I don't think anyone really knew what to say.
Right.
But thankfully I just have like such a good group of friends, and you feel the support even though you might not hear from them all the time, but people also don't know whether to reach out all the time. You don't want to be
Right.
annoying. So, and we get that. So,
Yeah. That
we
makes
felt the
sense.
support. Yeah.
In hindsight's always 2020. Like everybody's
Yeah.
seeing the like grind that y'all went through and the goalpost that kept getting pushed back.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's you guys are incredible. Just when
Yeah.
I thought you couldn't get any more
Oh,
awesome, you guys are just like a power strength couple that are going to get through anything, I
thanks.
think, at this
Thank
point.
you. It was tough. I know at this point we're like, we've gone through it all. So,
Well,
you know,
and now you're due with baby number 3
yes,
smack dab
craziest time. Like,
just icing on top.
oh my gosh. I have a bet with my dad that if the guys make it far, and if they win the Stanley Cup when this baby comes out, we're gonna name it Stanley.
actually?
But it has to be like the exact day because I'm like
Stanley Landeskog.
Stanley, girl or boy?
Stanland.
Stanland.
Wait, oh my gosh,
So
I've
good.
never been more in for the abs.
I know, because
yeah.
I literally, guys, like my due date's like right around the time, like if they make it far, which it kind of sucks because I thought like his first game back was going to be in Dallas, and I'm like, I'm too far along to travel now. So I was like, now I'm going to miss a lot of stuff. And, he really wanted the third, and we knew it would potentially, if God willing, we got pregnant with our third, we were like, it would be a June baby. And in my head, I was just thinking, you know what, like if this doesn't happen for Gabe, it might be like a little bit of a like silver lining and something that would be like positive for him. So maybe
And
that
if
means
it
that I
does,
was.
then
Yeah,
it's
but if it does, it's Stanley
So-
and baby.
Stanley and a Stanley.
Go Colorado,
God,
go.
imagine.
We are Avs fans on Never Offside now.
Oh God, am I gonna have a kid named Stanley?
That would
Oh
be
my God.
amazing.
We can call he or she by the middle name, but
Yeah.
Stanley Landeskog.
Yes. Yeah, so we'll see
Oh,
if it
I'm
happens. But
Well, speaking of
Yeah.
being a big Colorado fan now, as of a minute ago, how was the team during all this for you?
everyone's been as supportive as they could. It's hard. Like the guys on the team, like they would see Gabe come to the rink, and he was so sad. Just every day, it was just like a cloud over him, and they want him to do so well. They're all so supportive, and now that he's back and stuff, like just like you could just see it on the guys' faces. Just when Gabe scored there, they were just like they lit up, and we have such a good team, like so many good people on our team. Like we truly love everyone, and all the girls were bawling for me, and I'm like, I just love you guys. Like everyone genuinely just wanted this for Gabe, and it just like means so much to us. It really does.
And what the organization, how are they during all this for you guys too?
Yeah, they've been great. They've always been like, just take as much time as you need. Never put pressure on Gabe. In the beginning, they would ask for deadlines, and then it got to the point where Gabe's like, I don't have one for you. Just, so they would try to just, as much as possible, try to like know, because they need to know for cap space and stuff, like what moves they can make and stuff. So they've just been so supportive and amazing. And
Okay, and bringing it back to Colorado, what do you love so much about just living there and your life there?
yeah, I mean, I just love Colorado. Like the fans here are so amazing and so supportive. Like the guys could have a bad night and they're not like booing you on the street, But then again, I'm from Toronto, like
Yeah.
outside of
Yeah.
Toronto. So like just seeing like growing up, seeing like the newspapers come in, like just ripping apart people. And I'm like, it's just so nice that it's not like that here. And everyone's so respectful, like we'll walk around the town and you hear like, go Abs or go Landy, but they're not like running up to you and just, so, and the weather's just amazing. But it's funny, you'll get like the hottest day ever and it's gorgeous outside. And then the next day it'll be like a snowstorm and you're like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I have nothing but amazing things to say about Colorado. We feel like very lucky to be here.
To the fans, I'm sure those first games back, the fans probably were so nice and welcoming, and probably did say anything
Yeah.
about the motivation that he gave them. Any cool fan interactions?
Yeah, I mean, the fans are just so amazing. Like hearing those Landy chants when he came out for his first game, like I could not hold it together. I thought I was gonna faint, honestly. Like I couldn't stop crying. I was an emotional mess. They're just so amazing, and they all just like love their captain. And yeah, it was just like I pretty sure like everyone went and bought a Landeskog jersey too. It was just so nice to see. It's truly a moment I will never forget. I used to say the Stanley Cup was like the best moment of my life, like even topped our wedding, which sounds insane, but it was just so fun. Like it was so fun. But I was like, this might have topped it. Like it was just so amazing. And you never thought it was going to happen. It was here. And I was like a pinch me moment. Like, is this actually happening? So,
So deserving.
I was dying. I'm sure you saw it was on social media, but the camera panned to those fans in the Landeskog jerseys making out.
Yes, I was dying. I was like, that's amazing.
Oh my god.
It's so
my
good.
God.
Like,
That's literally like how people feel. They're like, oh my God, it's just such a feel-good story. You're like, he made it back. But also, like, who thinks of doing that? Like, you see a goal and you're just like, you think to immediately like turn to your spouse and make out? Like,
no,
that's hilarious.
it's so good. It's like no kiss cam in sight. It was a
Yes.
goal, and that was
You guys,
You know, it was really funny too. A lot of people thought that he was coming back for the Dallas game. So there was like watch parties going on. Everyone's getting ready for Gabe's return, you know. And then it just like I think some people were disappointed when they didn't see him on like the like in on the lines or whatever, or I don't know where they see it, but and then it just pans to Gabe eating a carrot in the suite with management, and it's just funny he was eating a carrot because the next day was Easter, and I'm like, it's just like all these people are probably tuning in to watch Gabe's comeback game, and it pans to him like literally mucking a carrot in the suite.
like a
Which is like
meme
such
with
a
like
Gabe
ears.
move.
yeah.
And it was hysterical that it was around Easter too. I'm like, that's so perfect.
It's
Like,
just like, gotcha.
yeah, gotcha. Literally. Yeah.
Oh man, this is just too good. I adore you guys. Your story's freaking incredible. It just I hope it continues because
Thank you.
I mean we need Stanley Landeskog. We
Yeah,
just
I
it
know.
has to
It
happen.
has to happen now.
Oh, but we always love to wrap up with a quick little shootout question. So I'm gonna start first. Do you guys have a guilty reality TV show you guys like to watch together?
Ooh, together. Oh, it's changed so much over the years. We used to be really into like Survivor and The Bachelor. And what were we just watching?
And if it's not a reality show, any
Traitors?
show.
No. I mean, we were really into Game of Thrones. And I remember I would watch it pregnant with my daughter, and my laptop would be like right by my belly. And so now I'm like, I wonder if we like put on like the theme song, if she
She
would like
would,
any
like-
feel any type of way. Like,
Yeah. She was like
But
vibing.
yeah, I mean, we're like, we just watch everything. Like right now, we're watching White Lotus. We haven't watched the last episode though, but
The theme
it's
of
for
our
Gabe's
show.
first time watching it, and he's like, "This show is so weird." He's
Yeah.
like, "Where is this headed?" Like the whole time, you're just like, "What's going on here?" But
I mean, we
yeah.
all watched it, so we're all weird together. Okay, before the next question, this is a fan shout out. Emma Clement said her brother is a teacher at my school in Ontario. Please shout out Mr. Schuldeis.
Oh no way! Yeah, that's my
That's
maiden
cute.
name, Shouldice. That's probably Mark Shouldice. I'm assuming my cousin.
Oh, maybe.
A
That's so
cousin.
nice.
Yeah, cute.
Oh, I love
Um,
that.
Okay, favorite vacation spot.
For a while there, we were obsessed with Cabo. Um, but now I don't know. I probably think, I don't know, whenever there's a break, now that we have kids, we like to go somewhere close. So we kind of just go to, we got married in Newport Beach. So we'll take the kids there just because it's an easy flight. Um, we love Turks and Caicos. We love going to Sweden. So it's a few spots.
Lovely.
All over the map.
All
Um,
over.
Okay, another fan question. Chic and chaotic asked, is Nathan McKinnon truly at your house every day like he says?
Yeah, honestly, we have Gabe, my husband. Gabe set up like a really good like rehab situation. So we have like a really long pool for workouts. He made it really deep. So they could do like I don't know what they do down there. They bring like tanks and do like stuff underwater, but they could breathe down there for like 7 minutes. It's kind of crazy.
Ooh, that's cool.
I remember one time I was upstairs doing my makeup in my bathroom. And I look out the window and I just see Nate McKinnon's legs going like this underwater. He's doing a handstand going like this. It's insane. And I'm like, oh, that's Nate. I thought it was Gabe for a second. And then they have a sauna, cold tub. So yeah, he's here a lot. Yeah.
Oh, I love
He'll
that.
bring his dog over and our dogs just like tear up the backyard and have fun.
What a
I want to
setup.
come for a
Yeah.
rehab sesh up.
I know.
At the
It's
Landeskog.
really nice their situation here. So
Does Gabe have any superstitions? Or do you have any superstitions?
he kind of grew out of like the really like annoying ones where you're like, really? Like, is that really like
Like what?
what we have to do here? I'm trying to think before it was like Oh gosh, he really grew out of them. So now I'm finding it hard to even remember. But I remember during the cup, he wore the same pair of suit socks, and he would have to remind me like, do not wash these.
Oh,
So yeah, and it worked. He wore the
Feel
same
that.
pair of yeah. But now he's like pretty easy. Like he's not as superstitious anymore. I think he just like ties the same skate first, like little things like that I think all the guys do.
Okay, ideal date night.
I mean, we love like golfing together, like doing something active together, and then like getting food. So the other day not the other day, this was a while ago, but um, we played tennis together, and then we grabbed some dinner, and that was just like the best night. But
oh, I love
we
that.
love going golfing, just have a couple John Dailies. I give up after 9 holes because I'm like, it's just like I'm not a
Well,
good golfer. So I'm just like, you play, I'll watch, and I'll just sit in the cart having some drinks.
I mean, that's a perfect
Yeah,
date in my
it's
opinion.
so nice.
anything after 9, I lose focus. It's just like
Same.
it's too
Yeah,
much.
I just like I'm tired at that point, and I'm like, I just want to ride in the cart.
Yeah, I get it. Since you and Gabe have spent so much time together over the last years, are there any pet peeves that he has that really irk
Oh
your
my
Jane?
God, guys, of course. It's like, there's sometimes I'm like, just get out of the house, please. No, it'll be like just little things. It's not too bad. It's just he's like, we're not used to spending so much time together. And he's not used to getting up and like for those 3 years, like he wouldn't get up and go to the rink and like have his routine. So it was kind of just like we're in each other's space all the time. But there's really not too many big things. It'll be like little things. Like he'll wash out a dish and just like leave all the food that gets like washed off the dish like all over the sink.
What is that?
They all do it.
Yes,
Like,
and like a lot of the times it's like tomatoey and like a lot of like
crust.
green stuff. Yeah, and I'm like, just it takes 2 seconds, just give a little rinse, like just
Oh,
throw it down the drain,
amen.
But I do annoying stuff too. Like he gets so mad because I wear like daily contacts, and sometimes when I'm in bed, I'm too lazy to get up and walk to the garbage and throw them out. So sometimes I'll just like take it out and sprinkle it on my nightstand. And then he'll be like walking down the stairs. He's like, oh man, there's a goddamn contact on my foot. And I'm like, sorry.
Okay, well, his is worse. His is worse.
His is worse, right?
Does
Like a couple little dried up contacts isn't too bad, right?
Do either of your husbands have like, I feel like it's like, I don't know, an athlete thing, but the amount of water bottles that Jeff
Oh.
leaves beside our bedside table is, first of all, the environmentalists here would be pissed off. But second of all, it's like, there's a trash can, there's a recycle bin. Like, let's
Oh
go.
my God, that's like, I will say that's Gabe. That's not something Gabe does because he's like, I think I'm the one that has the water bottles, if anything.
Well, Jeff
Because
like, comes home
he's
with,
such a
like,
minimalist. Like
Well,
his closet is like 5 t-shirts.
it's
Oh,
so
that's
sweet.
lovely.
Um, yeah, that's what it is. And I'm the one that's like harboring some like water bottles by my bed, but it'll be in the
Yeah.
middle of the night and he's like, pass me one of those. And I'm like, no. I'm like, you hate them, so now you don't get to appreciate them
This
next
is
to
my
the bed.
hoard, not
Yeah,
yours.
Stay
like you're
in
not
the
a part of this.
desert.
This is mine.
Oh God,
that's
ours is
funny.
there's just 1,000 hats all over the place.
Yes, a lot of
the
hats.
Yeah.
Or do you ever like clean the counters in the kitchen and they'll come home and just throw everything on it, like
Mhm.
keys, wallet, like papers from the day, and I'm like, I just cleaned this.
Yeah.
Like I hate cluster, like,
Yeah.
Yep.
or clutter, not cluster.
Yep. No, they all do it. They're all
Yeah,
They're all one and
funny
the
though.
same.
they're all the
Yep.
same.
Okay, finally, one word or sentence to describe the past few weeks.
Oh my gosh, there's so many words. A dream, honestly.
Oh,
Aw.
Because it was a dream for so long. Like it was like you would dream about that moment. Like I would like sit there and picture, I'm like, imagine he does come back. And imagine he like actually plays like decently well. And imagine he scores.
you
Like, oh, but that's
manifest.
not gonna happen. Like you just don't think it's gonna happen. And then when it happened, you're just kind of like, it's literally like there's no words.
Well,
You just hope he stays healthy and it continues, right? But
That just
Well,
made me very emotional.
I know. It's truly a dream for all of us. A
Yeah.
one of a kind comeback story that it's just like you said, inspiring to all. Like here we are, as you know, I'm leaving here as a wife, just like I I can be more supportive. I can do, just because you went through 3 years of like a nightmare, and here
Yeah.
you are, and hard work and support pays off. You guys are incredible.
Thank you
Just
so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for sharing everything too. So it was really, really lovely to
Yeah.
hear.
Yeah, it's hard to like expose everything on like a documentary and stuff, but just hearing everyone feel like inspired and it means so much. It was even my daughter's like teacher. She just texted me the other day and she said her daughter, like her daughter's really good at volleyball and she just realized she has to have like a knee surgery and it might take her out for some time. And I guess she woke her mom up and said, Mom, I think like Linnea, like my daughter, was put in your class because it made me like know that story and it gave me inspiration. And now I feel like I can come back from this and do what I
oh,
love.
Oh my
And I was
gosh.
just bawling my eyes out. I'm like, this is just like, it's too much. It's just such a good feel good story. And you just love to hear that. And she's so young. She's only like 13 and she loves volleyball. And to think that she might not play again is probably like devastating for her. So if Gabe gave her that inspiration, it's incredible.
amazing all around. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing. I know you're in the middle of everything with a game, everything happening right now. We appreciate you so much and
No, thank
are
you.
rooting for Team Landeskog all the way.
Thanks
Yep.
so much. It was so fun. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh my God. She got me with the dream. Like
Uh,
I I choked up, and you know what? I need this as a Disney original movie. It's just the most amazing story and so motivating, and I just can't.
yeah,
She's
everything about it. It was
yeah.
just, and now we are 100% rooting for the Avalanche because we want Lord Stanley baby Landeskog. Lord Stanley Landeskog. That's cute.
We root for all of our friends, obviously, for playoffs, but you know what? I'm going for Colorado now.
I know,
Officially.
and
Like,
look, it's like somebody you've never met, and now it's like, I mean, everybody's saying it, and I now, after talking to Mel even more and just learning more of the journey, just you can't not root for them. It is what it is, and this is just like a storybook,
yeah.
is what it is. But full playoff mode, here we go. I mean, what are we, halfway? I feel like this first round is like, it's already long and it already feels more intense than anything. And
Yeah.
the WAG jacket talk is exhausting.
Okay, this is crazy, but
Let's-
every year the wag jacket, I hate it. But
Yeah, we got to
WAG.
rename the WAG jacket.
Yeah, we need to rename the
Like-
jacket in general. Well, I guess it's a playoff jacket. Because
Yeah.
the playoff jacket are different than like another, like an outdoor game per se.
Yeah,
But
I mean, it's
this
a lot.
year seems to be on just a whole
Steroids.
another level of
Yeah.
like social media. I know that like social media always like grades the jackets and stuff like that. It's always a thing. It's
but
like
some years, like, teams didn't
Yes.
do a jacket or
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like it was, but now it is like
This is, like-
everybody's balls to the walls. Like it's a
It's-
thing, and
my feed is just
Yeah,
talking about
I know.
people's
It's-
jackets.
it's crazy. But they are all amazing. They all have
Yep.
really neat qualities. Some more interesting than others, and it's just fascinating that it's become such a spectacle, and it kind of puts like a pressure on for next year if you think.
I
about
know
it.
it really
It's
does.
like-
Well, it's weird too because you and I remember when it wasn't even a thing. Like,
Well, yeah,
maybe-
and now like teams, like the actual teams are posting about it, which it's hard enough to get a team like, team socials are very curated and planned out, and it's like it's getting a spot on the
it's
feed.
the teams are collabing even.
Yeah. Collabing. Whoa.
Yeah,
Anyways,
so-
I wonder if there will be any round 2 outfit changes, like you never know.
Well, yeah, you don't want to plan for it because you don't want to jinx yourself, but you also have to plan for it. So,
Well, remember when we were in Montreal, we just had to like throw something together and it ended up working out, but we kind of kept adding a layer every year.
yeah, because we were so lucky to have you and Ange who could
Yeah.
get something up really quick. That was like
That
great
would
for
maybe
us.
that was it. But yeah, we
Yeah,
were in
even the starter jacket, which was really one of my favorite ever playoff pieces,
Yeah.
the Montreal starter jacket. And then you guys just used your hookups to slap all of our numbers on it like last
Yeah.
minute.
It
And
honestly was like the easiest to do. I
best.
feel like the stress of jackets was like, that was so easy. That was like,
yeah, that
but it
was fun.
worked and it was good luck. So
Yeah. It was.
anyways, super
All
fun.
right. Well, we will be tuned in, and we will be watching the next round of
Yeah. And
playoffs and jackets.
all the things. But anyways, thanks for joining us at Never Offside with Julie and Kat. Like, subscribe, do all the things that you do with podcasts, and give all of our past episodes a listen if you haven't. And we'll see you next week.
Yep. See you next time.